Shagun. Good evening. Can you hear me? Hi, Shagun. Can you hear me?
Here, I believe we can hear you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting segment. Okay, so it's been like few weeks or few months since we first had the first I Educate Initiative
I
segment,
can hear
and
you.
it was nice. It was beautiful. So we'll be starting very soon in the next 4 minutes. That will give people the chances to join in via the YouTube link or the Zoom link. So at exactly 8:05, we'll be starting tonight's session. Just kindly hold on while we invite other people to join. It promises to be a very exciting and interactive session. So yes, let's not just come to the meeting. Let's pull our friends, loved one, family. The need to learn about self-awareness is something that every child, every parent, every educator is is to know. So let's just go ahead and just invite other people to the session while we wait for next 2 3 minutes. Then we can start the session. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Okay, good evening once again, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are listening from. I can see some people have joined us. Good evening, Esther. Good evening, David. Welcome to today's segment. So the first session of of this week's series. So the series spans from the 16th of this month through to the first or second week in the month of February. So very quickly, I want to say welcome everyone, those watching us via the YouTube channel and those watching us, joining us from this platform, the Zoom platform. Welcome and thank you everyone for joining. Today's segment promises to be very exciting, like I've said. I'm with my book, my pen. I'm ready to jot down. I'm ready to ask questions. I'm ready to just gain knowledge from the amazing speaker that we have here today. So without further ado, I'm welcoming my co-host or the main host of today's event. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Gideon SM as he gives his opening speech before we start. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. For the speak, really. Uh, Good evening, everyone. You're welcome once again to another exciting event with a very, very highly respectable speaker in the house. Okay, so without much ado, I'll open by saying, you know, that this event has been put together with you in mind, our audience, so as to give you direction uh, in your career, even as you begin to build a very good career for yourself from here on. Okay, so I start by the words, a very popular quote that we all like saying, "Man, know thyself." Okay, it's a very popular. I think it's a quote that was made very popular by one of the greatest thinkers of all time that ever lived, talking of Socrates. And within the context of self-discovery, this implies that one should seek a deep understanding of his own self, examining their own nature, beliefs, and the purpose for which they are in life in order to be able to live meaningfully and not just merely exist through life, aimlessly. And it is for this purpose that Initiative Education Nigeria has put forward this series tagged from self-discovery to career direction in order to help you gain valuable insight into your strengths and weaknesses and how to harness these to ensure that you excel academically and in career. And this evening, to guide us through the crux of today's meeting, understanding yourself before choosing a course, all the way from Jamaica, please help me put together your hands as we welcome in the house Miss Dionne Henry. Please you can unmute and welcome her to today's event. Hi,
Welcome.
Miss.
Good evening.
Hi, Miss Dionne. Welcome. Thank you. All right. So before we get to hear our speaker speak, I think it's befitting for us to get to know our person. All right. So I'm going to go give us a brief profile of Miss Dionne Henry. She is a Jamaican and a UK registered nurse, as well as a qualified public health professional who graduated from the University of West Indies with a bachelor's degree in nursing, and also graduated from the University of London, I beg your pardon, yeah, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine with an MSc in public health. She has a rich blend of global experience and exposure and cultural competence obtained through living, studying, volunteering, and working in Jamaica, Singapore, the United Kingdom, Dubai, etc. Our experiences also include student exchange nursing programs, student exchange nursing programs, okay, practice in Christian Start Sweden, public health engagement, officer in choices in London, UK, and she also worked as a nurse in Kingston Public Hospital, Jamaica. She's a public health coordinator at Park. She was a public health coordinator at Park Comprehensive Clinic, Jamaica. Also a diabetes specialist nurse assistant at the North Middlesex Community Team in UK and moderator Stigma Nursing Research Congress at the 2023 in 2023 at Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. He was a student ambassador at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and the moderator at Sigma Nursing Research Congress 2024 in Singapore. She has worked as a nurse in the North Middlesex University Hospital and has extensive experience within the NHS. Her nursing experience spans various capacities and specialties, including mental health, respiratory, medical, surgical, pediatrics, geriatrics, and community health nursing. In addition, she assisted in the education and training of international nurses for their OSCE examination. She has collaborated with several entities to facilitate public health awareness, diabetics workshop, health affairs, health checks, data collection, training, and presentation. Entities include her And these include a church. Oh, she has also volunteered in entities such as a church food bank, Arlington Council, and health organizations, spreading public health awareness about knife crime and its impact, along with the importance of having good mental and appropriate conflict resolution strategies. In addition, she continues to work towards mobilizing support for children and older adults in underserved communities in Nigeria. She is passionate about public health and healthcare systems and is equally passionate about diabetes research, care, and education. Her master's research at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine focused on self-management education interventions in women and gestational diabetes mellitus. She successfully presented on the topic at the 6th Commonwealth Nurses and Midwives Conference in Malta between 27th and 28th of September 2024. Deron is currently pursuing a PhD in global health at the University of West London, with her research being focused on self-management of type 2 diabetes, which focuses on type 2 uh, diabetes in elderly Black African and Afro-Caribbean populations in London. She is a part-time lecturer and undergraduate student. She is a part-time lecturer to undergraduate students, I beg your pardon, fulfilling a role as a PhD candidate and gaining additional skill set. In addition, she works part-time as a vaccination nurse, which aligns with her passion for health protection. Dionne was selected as a flag bearer and proudly carried the Jamaican flag at the Commonwealth Commemoration Service held at Westminster Abbey on the 10th of March 2025. In her spare time, she enjoys cooking, baking, and spending quality time with family. She lives by the motto, if I can help someone along the way, then my life would not be in vain. What a wonderful personality. Please join your hands together and give a virtual standing ovation, if you would, as we welcome a woman of no mean repute, Miss Dionne Henry.
Welcome.
Thank you
Welcome,
so much.
Dionne.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eason, for that comprehensive introduction. I wasn't even sure if you were going to really speak about so much, but thank you. Um, and I just want to also say thank you to the organizers at Initiative Educate Nigeria. The work that you're doing is phenomenal and it is life-changing as well. I am humbled that the team, Mr. Gideon Eason, Miss Glory Eason, and Miss Esther Eason, along with other stakeholders who are part of this initiative, would choose myself to do such a noble topic. I'm humbled and I really appreciate it. And it's my prayer that through this session, this workshop, that persons who tune in this evening and those who will watch in the future will learn something and it will be applicable, not only for now, but for the future. And so I'm not going to tarry much longer. I will share my screen so that we are on the same page. Please let me know if you are seeing my screen.
Yes, please.
Yes, I can. Yes.
Yes, please, it's on.
Okay, let me see if I can put it in presentation view. Okay, still seeing it?
Yes, we are.
Great. And is it spanning the whole screen for you?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay, great. Okay, so again, I am Dionne Henry. It is a privilege to be here to share what little knowledge I have on the topic, and I pray that it will be impactful and it will make a difference in the students who are joining in, parents, stakeholders, and any person who is interested in advancing education for students in Nigeria and by expansion or extension, the world. So, again, our topic is understanding yourself before choosing a course. understanding yourself before choosing a course, and we will begin. Please, before we begin, it is an interactive session, so I'm going to ask that you have your pens and paper out to write notes, to make any jottings, any questions that you may need to ask, because there will be a question and answer segment afterwards so that we can get to understand more about yourself and choosing your course of interest. You can also use the chat. I have my able host and co-host who will assist me with any questions that you may have for those who are joining on YouTube. And for those on Zoom, please put your questions or your comments in the chat. So why does this conversation matter, you may ask? Now, many students choose courses without knowing themselves, and that is an issue. Because not knowing who you are and then choosing a course will lead to frustration, a course change, and even a loss of confidence. And so today, tonight, it's about discovering you before choosing a course. Now, this is the agenda. The first thing that we'll do is the introduction. So, understanding yourself and self awareness. The tools and techniques used to understand yourself, exploring two tools to understand yourself before choosing a course. And it's important for me to make the disclaimer that there are many tools that you can utilize. But for reason of the time constraint, we'll only be focusing on two, which is the SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats analysis, and TOWS, threats, opportunities, weakness, and strength matrix. Personality and career fit, passion versus practicality, my own personal experience, encouragement and call to action, questions, thank you, and references. So here we are. Two key quotes that I thought were very applicable to what we're discussing today. One, Aristotle, a Greek philosopher, once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Wangari Maathai, Kenyan Nobel laureate, said, you cannot enslave a mind that knows itself, that understands itself. Now, understanding yourself, and we're approaching our first interactive session. What does it mean to you to understand yourself? And I want us to take 2 minutes just to think, what does it mean to understand yourself? 2 minutes, and I will ask two persons, anyone that is not shy, to share what it means to understand yourself. So parents, students, anyone, what does it mean to understand yourself? 2 minutes. Okay. So anyone would like to go ahead and let me know what it means to understand yourself? Don't be shy.
Yes, don't be shy.
There are no wrong
Okay,
answers.
okay. Do our answers include the host himself if he wants to
Yes.
attempt?
Yes, anyone can attempt.
Okay, okay. For me, I believe what it means to understand uh, oneself is already there in the first few slides that were shared during the course of this interaction. Okay, it basically means understanding where you thrive as a person, knowing where you thrive as a person, knowing your strengths, and knowing your limitations as a person, and uh, knowing what works for you in whatever you intend to engage in, and knowing what doesn't. Basically, I think that is just what it means in the crudest of terms.
Perfect. And you've wrapped it up in a nutshell, Mr. Eason. So it's beginning to know who you are as an individual, as you mentioned, strengths and weaknesses. And so the next slide will elaborate a bit more on what Mr. Eason has said. So let's move on smartly. So understanding yourself means, as Mr. Eason alluded to, having a clear idea of who you are. Now, this includes identifying and acknowledging, for example, your strengths and weaknesses. And that can filter into your learning style. So, the strengths and weaknesses that you have will potentially dictate the learning style that you have. Your core beliefs and values align very much with your personal relationships. Your motivation, desire, and passion. These are all important things that form who you are as a person. And you can extract that information from a simple tool like a personality test. Your patterns and triggers. Now, life is a great teacher. And so, this discovery through life, self discovery, different interactions that you have, different circumstances that you face will help you to identify patterns and triggers in yourself, right? So, for example, God forbid you have failed an exam for the first time. You're able to know what were the things that didn't go well. Why did I end up here? And passing your exam with 100%, for example. What did I do well? What were the patterns? What were the triggers? Your mission and vision in life. These are things that all help you to understand yourself. So self awareness now comes into place when you think of your mission and vision in life. Now, what is self awareness? You may be asking. Now, self awareness is understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your interests, your personality, your natural abilities. Now, why self awareness matters? Now, through self awareness, one is able to choose, or it helps one to choose a suitable course. It builds your confidence in your decisions that you make. It reduces the pressure from comparison. So, looking at what your friends are doing or your colleagues, what your family members have probably done before, it reduces that pressure because you are aware of who you are. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. You know what you're naturally good at doing. And so it alleviates that pressure of comparing yourself to your brother or your sister, to your uncle, your auntie, your friends. It reduces that pressure when you become self-aware. And it helps parents, it helps teachers, it helps guardians as well to guide our young people or students instead of forcing an idea onto these individuals. Now, there are a range of tools and techniques that can be used to understand yourself before you choose a course. Now, this list has 5, but this is by no means a comprehensive list. And so please take some time to look at other tools, but this is just to give you a rough idea of tools and techniques that you can use to understand who you are before you choose a course. So the first one, the SWOT, SWOT. It's classified as a self-assessment tool, and the SWOT assessment is a personal assessment in which you analyze your strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats before you take a course. Now, results allow you to know your current position and make improvements accordingly. The second assessment tool is the TOWS, TOWS. It's a self assessment tool, and this identifies the threat, opportunity, weakness, and strengths. Now, this matrix uses the SWOT analysis and the results of that SWOT analysis in combination with the TOWS matrix, so they work hand in hand. It helps you to create an action plan, a strategy by which you can consider things that affect you internally or things that affect you externally. And we'll go into a little more details as we go along. The third tool, 5W1H, is a problem solving tool, and we look at 5Ws and 1H. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. That's the technique. And it helps to gather information, helps you to fully understand a situation before you make a decision. Now, the fourth tool I have on the list is MBTI. It's a personality assessment, and MBTI simply means Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. Now, it's an assessment which is widely used across the world in different organizations, in schools, in clinical settings, to help to understand the personality of an individual. And this assessment measures 4 parameters or personality dimensions, and it describes people in terms of a 4-letter code. Now, the results allows, listen carefully, it allows individuals to gain self-awareness and provide a roadmap for improvement. So, for example, I can give an example for myself. My personality assessment, the code that I was given was ENFJ, which is the protagonist based on the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator assessment. And it says here that the protagonist is captivating and motivating as a leader and skilled at enchanting their audience. It says as well that one of the weaknesses of a protagonist, so in comparison to the strengths of the protagonist, the weaknesses maybe being sensitive to criticism. So having known one's strength through the test and the weakness, you're able to improve on oneself, right? The fifth tool that I have on the list is VARC. It's a learning style. So it means visual, oral, read or write, kinesthetic, is a learning preference model that identifies and categorizes how people take in and process information. So it helps you to understand how you learn best. It helps you to recognize your natural preference, sorry, for absorbing new information and select study techniques that align with your strengths. So let me see a thumbs up if this has been helpful, these tools, just to know that my audience is still here. So let me see some thumbs up in the chat or using your emojis, and a thumbs down if you're not understanding, because this is a workshop and it is an interactive session. So I want to know that we're all on the same page. Let me check the chat. Any thumbs up? Okay, okay. I'm seeing a response. So everything clear? Yes? Okay. Silence means consent. Okay. All right. I'm seeing the chat. Very good. So thank you very much. So now we're looking at the SWOT analysis. So this is one of the tools we'll be looking at this evening. The SWOT analysis has two sections. The internal factors section, as you can see at the top, and the external factors. Now, the internal factors refer to the strength, the weakness of an individual, right? Now, the external factors now refer to the opportunity or the threats that face one on a daily basis. Now, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. So, we're going to take the SWOT analysis into parts and apply it to ourselves to see how we can understand ourselves in this workshop. So, understanding your strengths and weaknesses. Strengths, it's what comes naturally to an individual, what others praise you for. Weaknesses, areas that require growth, skills you can improve upon. Now, here we see the little man with the gears in the brain. This means that you'll be utilizing your brain at this moment. So anytime you see this icon, we're using our brain. Take a moment. I want everyone to take a moment to list some of the strengths and weaknesses that you have. And there are no wrong answers. So I'm just going to give you a minute or two to think. What are the strengths that I have? What are the weaknesses that I have? 2 minutes.
Okay, so someone said courage as a strength.
Great. So courage as a strength. Very good. You're courageous. You will do something that is out of your comfort zone. Thank you. Is there anyone else that has a strength or a weakness that they'd like to share?
So we have perseverance, then we have being outspoken and also being confident.
Very good. Very good points. And we're going to have a look at how those can align with potential jobs. So think about it, being perseverant, persevering rather, courageous. That means you will be bold in making decisions. What jobs would need you to be bold? So you can start thinking about that. So all of these things that we're doing helps to mold your mind into thinking, what course do I align well with for the future, right? So let's move on to the next slide and see some of the strengths and weaknesses, and let's see if one of your strengths or weakness has been listed. So strengths, a list of strengths, it's not exhausted, and a list of weaknesses, not exhausted at all. Mathematics proficiency, a fast learner, being technologically savvy, knowing how to use computers and devices, strong analytic skills, being an avid reader, teamwork, athletic prowess, being able to conquer academia, volunteerism, problem solving. Now let's look at the weaknesses. Maybe public speaking is a weakness. Now, for the person who said they're able to speak without any fear, I know that person has that strength, but there are some persons who are not very good at public speaking. Procrastination, is that something that is an issue? Being disorganized, multitasking, time management, work-life balance, being aggressive, being shy, micromanaging, people pleasing. So this is not an exhausted list, but it's just to give you some ideas of some of the strengths and weaknesses that can go into the SWOT analysis, and you'll see how everything ties in nicely. Opportunities and threats. So understanding the opportunities and the threats. So what are opportunities? The external chances that you can take advantage of. They help you to grow if you prepare. Now, the threats, on the other hand, they are external challenges. They're not personal failures, they're external challenges that you may face. And these threats can slow you down if you ignore them. Now, just like before, where we identify strengths and weaknesses, let's think about opportunities and threats. What could be an opportunity? What could be a threat? I'll give you 2 minutes. And remember, it is an interactive session, and I'm loving those who have interacted thus far. Keep it coming. You will gain a lot from these discussions. So take a moment to list your opportunities and your threats. I'll just put it back on the previous page so you can remember what the opportunity is. 2 minutes.
Okay, so we have here from this platform that some opportunities. I think this person is talking about within the context of. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Okay, this person is talking from the context of self-development. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
he or she really narrowed it down. Said that opportunities include mentorship and a training like this, a new training like this one. Uh, wow, he or she also mentioned that some threats could uh, include bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what he or she means. Uh, Poor time management,
Mm-hmm.
and we also talked about um, obsolete skills.
Could you repeat that last one, Mr. Gideon?
Obsolete skills,
Okay.
skills that are outdated.
Okay. Very good.
Mm,
We're getting some very sound feedback. I think you've seen this presentation before because it does
definitely.
align with what I have here. So I'm very impressed with the responses that we're getting from our students, parents, stakeholders. Thank you. It's very encouraging. So we'll look at the list. Again, it's not comprehensive. And some of the things that you've mentioned, they either overlap or have added to the list that I have. So I'll show you in a second here. So opportunities and threats. One, the market demand. So for example, if you are interested in entrepreneurship, yes, maybe you are thinking about potentially having your own snail farm to meet the market demand because maybe there isn't a demand for snails. That's an opportunity. You latch on to that business course, you latch on to anything entrepreneurship related, and you feel that market demand because you know that it is a passion for you, and long term, you're able to meet a demand that is out there. Maybe new technology is another opportunity that you have noticed. Career growth, the mentorship, networking with future leaders, scholarship opportunities, maybe a scholarship locally or internationally. These are opportunities that we have to start thinking about before we choose a course. Now, what are the threats? Now, course relevance. AI, with the rise in AI, there are certain jobs that may be threatened. So let's think, what can AI do quickly? Customer service related things. That could be something that AI is slowly maybe will not be able to eradicate totally. But you have to think to yourself, okay, being in a call center, can my job be easily replaced by AI? Maybe. So we think ahead. Maybe that wouldn't be so lucrative or beneficial for me, because with the AI increase, persons may be losing certain jobs and roles. Market saturation. Maybe a lot of people are going into a particular profession. Will you be able to thrive where you are? Or maybe you'll have to look elsewhere outside of your country in order to meet that need because maybe it's too saturated where you are. Competition, changes in the job market. We have to, as students, as parents, guardians, stakeholders, be looking at the job market, looking at the demand, looking at different factors that are changing so quickly on a day to day basis. Financial pressure. It's not easy to study, is it? No, it's not. Will finances, increases in tuition fees, those things can pose as threats. Now, having done the strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities, and threats, we can now have a look at the TOWS matrix: threat, opportunity, weakness, and strengths. So if you notice, with SWOT, TOWS is just the reverse of SWOT. So the TOWS matrix uses the SWOT analysis results to create an action plan by considering both the internal and external factors. Now, this might seem a bit scary, but it's not. It's basically everything that we've spoken about a while ago. So you are in the corner there. You have your strengths, you have your weaknesses that we mentioned earlier. Now, opportunity, we have spoken about that. Threats, we've spoken about that. So you've already spoken about four categories. Now, what is the TOWS matrix. So it's combining strength and opportunity so that you can have a strategy. The use of your internal strength to capitalize on external opportunities. Then, weakness opportunity strategies. Improving on your weaknesses through the opportunities. Strength and threats strategies. Using your strengths to overcome the threats. And then finally, your weakness threat strategy. Countering the internal weaknesses that you may have and the threats that you may have, countering them by building strategies for a defense mechanism. Now, I have a little example here that I want to share with you. So, what if you're deciding to choose a course in computer science, for example? Now, the strength would be your interest in technology. So, you may be tech savvy, right? And you may have strong problem solving skills, while your weakness may be limited coding experience. So you don't know much about coding and it's a heavy workload. Let's think about the opportunities. It's high demand for graduates and many career options are in this field. But the threats are strong competition and it's constantly changing. The technology is fast changing. So I hope you're understanding as we break down this choice of a course in computer science. Now, using your strengths as a student, you can specialize in the high demand areas. So look for the lucrative areas. Where's the gap? Find out where the gaps are and fit yourself in there. Opportunities such as internships and online courses can help you to overcome certain weaknesses that you may have. So look for those internships that are being offered. Volunteer your time. Get out there, network. Ask persons who may be at church or the mosque or wherever your place of worship may be, or wherever gatherings of people are. There are always professionals or persons in your field that you're interested in. Get into those spaces and ask that you may be mentored by them. Yes? Keeping skills updated as well will reduce your competition threats. And finally, good time management helps you handle the workload and avoid the burnout. Right? I hope that we're understanding. So, I would want you to take a few minutes just to think of a strategy and action plan for yourself. What can you do based on the strengths, the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that you've identified? What's a strategy that you can do? And I'll give you 2 minutes just to think about that. And you can feedback in the chat, or you can raise your hand or unmute so that we can have a discussion.
Okay, we have someone here asking you to please repeat the question that he or she didn't get it.
Okay, no problem. So, based on your personal strengths and weaknesses, based on the opportunities and threats that you've identified in yourself, what's an action plan that you can employ in order to make a decision about a course that you would be interested in? So it's personalized now. What can I look at regarding my strengths, my weaknesses, my threats, my opportunities that would help me in making the right decision towards a course of my interest? I hope that helped?
Yes, I believe it did.
Would anyone like to feedback?
I think I have some people still typing from over here on YouTube, so I'm still waiting.
Okay, no worries. We'll give
Oh,
them some time.
okay. Oh, we have a feedback from Zoom here. This is from Shegun Ashimi. Shegun says that I think first of all he gave his strength as desire to learn and improve, and he now went further to say that the strategies he can employ will be to build data skills, and his action plan will be daily practice and online courses.
Very good response. And I'm happy to know that you've been able to use the SWOT analysis and the TOWS matrix to come to that action plan. And it's very simple when you think about it. What am I passionate about? What is it that I would like to be involved in? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities that are presenting themselves? And what are the threats? And from those things, as you've rightly said, you're able to mitigate. So you're able to do that online course. You're able to improve upon your skills to set yourself up in a great way to accomplish your goals. Very good response. Is there another before we move on?
There is one here from there is one here from YouTube. There is one here from YouTube. Okay, but I don't know. I can't really get it. But let me just read how he or she put it. He said that he or she said that uh, the strength is a high self-esteem, and of course the action plan would be self-reflection, self-assessment, and making confident decisions. I think that's how he or she put it.
Good. Very good. So good feedback. Higher self-esteem and taking that time now to build one's confidence continuously and to maintain that kind of approach so that you're able to make more firm decisions. Your self-esteem is not shaken. If there's a critique, you're not shaken because you've honed who you are. So you know what you're on about. You're not easily shaken, you're not easily moved. Good job. Thank you so much for the feedback. I'm not sure if we have any more, but if we don't, I will move on.
Let you
Okay.
know.
Pardon? Okay.
More
So,
feedback coming. I'll let you know.
okay, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Eason. So we move on to the next slide. So personality and career fit. Now, some persons enjoy working with people in a team. with others. Some persons enjoy working with ideas. Some persons enjoy working by oneself in a solitary space, not having to interact with a lot of people. Some persons enjoy working with systems, policies, machinery. No personality is better than the other. And I think that's the take home message when it comes to personality types. Not because you like to work with machinery as opposed to people makes you better than the other person. Every person has their own personality type and trait, and they will work best in the particular career field that is more lucrative for it. And so that leads us to another section where you will now think about oneself. Which one do I prefer? Working with people, working as a team, or working with my own ideas, creating my own thing as an artist maybe, you and your paintbrush and your canvas. Is that what you enjoy doing? Your solitary time? Or do you like working with tools, using your hands, or working with a system? Which one do you prefer? And I want you to think about it and think why? Why is it that I like working with people? Why is it that I like working with ideas, my own ideas? Why is it that I like working with tools with my hands? Or why do I like working with systems? And again, I'll give you a minute just to think about that. So think about which one you prefer. Okay, any feedback?
I'm still having, I'm still having people from this end type.
Okay,
So as soon as it drops, I'll let you know.
no worries.
Okay, so I prefer working with ideas and tools slash systems because systems remain true to themselves. However, people people can change.
I quite enjoyed that feedback from that individual, and they're very, very honest. Yes, you're right. One may be more straightforward. It is what it says it is. It's what it is on paper. But people are more dynamic and you will have to change accordingly. So thank you for making that valuable or invaluable point. And I am happy for your honesty. Is there anyone else who would like to feedback which they prefer. Love that feedback. Thank you. So while persons are typing, I can give my own personal experience. So when I first entered the University of the West Indies, where I studied for my bachelor's, I remember doing my first year in a faculty called Science and Technology. Now, one thing I must say, I have never regretted anything regarding my journey. I think God knows what He's doing when He allows me to enter into certain spaces. So I trust Him because I am a believer, and I must put that as a disclaimer. And so when I entered into the Faculty of Science and Technology, I was pursuing a science degree in biochemistry. Now, that included using Petri dishes and laying organisms. So it's you and your Bunsen burner and Petri dish. And it was through those lab experiences that I realized that this isn't for me. This is not fitting my personality type. I love to be hands on with people. I love to interact with individuals. I like talking to people. So, spending 8 hours in a lab with my Petri dish, it didn't bring me any satisfaction or joy. And so, it was during that time that I knew, this is not for me. And it's important that you know who you are before you get into a profession or into a course. Because peradventure I stayed in the course, I would be very miserable because this wouldn't be my calling or what I believe that God had in store for me. And so it's important, this exercise and this series that Initiative Educate Nigeria has put on is important for you to think about yourself. We were all there. I was there. Your parents were there. Persons around you who you see in high positions, they were once there, right? They didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know what I was doing. But having known oneself, and of course, as I said, I am a believer in praying and asking God for direction, I end up in the place where He wants me to be. And that was outside of biochemistry. But we'll talk about that a little further. So I was buying some time. Is there anyone else who wanted to say anything before I move on?
Yes, please. Yes, please. We have, we have, I think we have a couple, but I'm just going to take two. Okay. So we have from YouTube. YouTube says, I like to work with my ideas because when I make mistakes, I learn from them and that makes me better at what I do. That's a Folashade Shodi from YouTube. And we have Tiago Ashimi again from here in Zoom. It says, why I like working with tools or systems. I like solving problems, and systems present problems that can be fixed or improved upon. You enjoy figuring out why something is not working and how to make it better.
Lovely. Phenomenal answers. Thank you both. And I can see into your mind and how it's thinking and putting into reality who you are and how that helps to morph your decisions in the future. Continue to reflect because as you get older, your personality may or may not change. So keep that at the back of your mind. But I'm loving what I'm hearing. You're actually sitting with oneself and saying, this is who I am. I prefer my ideas. I prefer tools and systems. And this is what we need to start doing at an early stage so it prevents frustration and confusion in the future. So let's move on quickly. Thank you for the feedback. Now, passion versus practicality. Now, passion without skill can fade. Simply put, skill without interest leads to burnout. So it's important that we have balance. Balance is key. Confucius has said, choose a job you love, and in this case, choose a course you love, and you will never work a day in your life. Now, passion is a compass, it's not a map. And I want to emphasize this. Passion points to what you like, but it does not walk the path for you. It requires you to be disciplined, to have the skill set to do that course, to network, to go to those workshops and spaces, to equip yourself to survive under the hard work and pressure. Begin to explore, young people, your interests. Start to know what you like, what you don't like. Volunteer in spaces where you want to see yourself in. Seek mentorship from persons in the field and do your own personal research on persons in the field. Yes? And so it comes down to my own personal experience and how this all ties into who I am today. And I hope it makes some kind of impact, whether small or big. Once there's an impact, I think the workshop would have been worth it. So, as you can see here, I am from Jamaica, a little dot here in the Caribbean Sea with about 2.9 million people. Can someone tell me in the chat how many persons live in Nigeria? Quickly. How many persons live in Nigeria? Educate me today.
Okay, we have over 200 million people living in Nigeria at the last count. So that should be 10 times, or 100 times. You said 2 million in Jamaica?
Approximately 2.9.
Approximately 2.9. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that should be roughly about 200 million, divided by 2.9. That should go somewhere around 60 or so, or over 60, 66 or so, 66 times.
Well, there you have it. So that's where I'm from. Just a little dot. Yes? In the Caribbean Sea. Compared to Nigeria, we could fit in Nigeria so many times. So that's where I am, here in Jamaica, born and raised and proud. And we all know that our roots have come from Africa, the motherland. So there's always a connection. We are the same, one in the same. And let's not forget that. Yes? So my story from a small island to global spaces. And can anyone identify who that is in the corner? That's me as a student, just like you are, a student not knowing where I would be, what would happen in the future, eager to see what God has in store. So, as I said before, I'm from a small island in Jamaica. And just like Nigeria, we are classed as being limited, a third world, and I put these things in quotation. Yes, a third world country, underdeveloped. So many things are said about our homeland. But let me remind us, everyone that's on this platform, that limitations do not define our destiny. Limitations do not define our destiny. And I want you to absorb that photo that was taken in Jamaica in a place called Bubble Hill. That's when I was a student nurse, and it was actually through this program that was implemented by my lecturer, Mrs. Sandra Chisholm Ford, where we had to go into the community areas, underserved areas where public health is hard to reach. So they were all the way in the hills or the mountains, rather. It took us ages to get up there. And that's where we implemented nursing care in hard to reach places in my country. Now, I didn't have it all figured out. There are so many professions to choose from, but which one to choose was the question. Everyone's saying something. You should be this, you should be that. Even when I entered university, as I mentioned earlier, I did not know my final direction, where I would go. I started out, as I mentioned, in a science degree program. And so it's okay to start over. I want someone who's listening to remember it's okay to start over. Don't feel pressured. It's okay. If you don't like something, it's okay. Because remember, we're knowing oneself. And that happened to me. My entrance into nursing school was definitely an act of God. And I have put my nursing school here to the side so you can see where I went to school to do my bachelor's. And from nursing, God opened so many doors, as you heard in the biography. Those doors were opened by God, first and foremost, and through my bachelor's in nursing. And it's still, they both still continue to open up doors for me today. Now, the experience that changed everything. So, as I mentioned earlier, there was a community health nursing placement that, as nursing students, we had to go on. And one of the assignments that we had was to care for a family in the community as nurses. And so you met all the needs of the family. Now, there was a man who was assigned to my group because we went into the community as group of nurses, yes? His name was Mr. P. Just for confidentiality, I will not name his actual government name. And so this was a middle-aged man with cataracts bilaterally, so had cataracts to both eyes, and he ended up being completely blind. Now, this is a great injustice because with cataracts, for those who know, you do not have to go completely blind. It's only when it's left untreated. And so the
I don't
system,
understand. Everyone on here is black.
hello, is someone asking something?
Hello? Hello?
Yes. I heard some feedback. I'm not sure if someone's asking a question.
Okay, let me check to see. Oh no, I didn't get anything.
Okay.
I didn't get anything from here.
Okay, no problem. So he became completely blind because of the cataracts. Now, he was experiencing severe malnourishment. He was being starved because he lived in the belly of poverty. And so this assignment became more than assignment. This was someone's reality for me. So my colleagues, were very anxious about just getting certain basic things done. But for me, it wasn't just tick boxes. It wasn't just getting him some nourishment or getting him his birth certificate. This is a man's reality. And so here's a photo of what he lived in, a dilapidated board house. And when the rain fell, it would pour on the inside. He's on the bed in a corner. Remember, he's blind. His toilet was a bucket. He was left to die quietly. And there were many times when he attempted suicide. And I want that to sink in because there are many persons living this reality. And as a student nurse, this was an eye opener for me because I think we're having a bit of disruption. Please, if you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll definitely acknowledge you. And so this was a harsh reality for me as a student nurse to know that someone was living this kind of life. Now, it wasn't about passing a course for me. I passed the course, yes, but it was about a human's life. I saw where health inequality existed and needed to be tackled. Now, here's a turning point. First and foremost, God made a way. I was able, by the hand of God, to be able to speak with an ophthalmologist who I knew, ask her to do an assessment, and ask her to write a referral to our public hospital for free surgery to be done for him by the Cuban doctors who tend to come and do free surgeries for us here in the Caribbean. So there's an initiative that they do. They come and do surgeries here. And so she wrote the referral for him. I advocated for relocation. He moved from that dilapidated house into a care home. He was getting three meals a day. 3 meals a day. Remember, he was on the brink of dying. His life changed completely. Now, words I will never forget. Nurse Henry, God bless you. You rescued me. I knew that I could not stay at the bedside. I knew from that experience I needed to influence health systems, to be involved in public health policy and advocacy, because being at the bedside was good, but I needed to be sitting at the table to make policies to help persons like Mr. P, who was suffering without a voice. And so aligning passion with practicality, prayer, mentors, family members, they all helped in making this passion into a reality. Public health then became my gateway. So nursing plus public health equals advocacy. And that is how I was able to understand myself and then choose, by God's grace, the line that I am in now, which is public health, advocacy, health promotion. So, education with purpose, master's in London, PhD by God's grace, it will happen. And it's not about the titles or the crowd or what the crowd is doing. It's about effecting change, change that I am passionate about seeing in my country. And so, a little encouragement for you as we wrap up. You may feel unsure. Your circumstances are not your ceiling. Start with where you are. Your story, it matters. Your experience, it matters. Your journey is unfolding, and you are capable of more than you could ever imagine. Now, here's a call to action. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Aristotle, Greek philosopher. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4, verse 13. And a Nigerian proverb which says, little by little, the bird builds its nest. Go now and build your nest. Let's reflect and ask any questions related to the topic or my experience, and let's have a little discussion before we close. The floor is open.
Okay, if you have any question, if you have any question, you just signify by raising your hand and I'll unmute you so you can speak. Okay, I had to mute everyone because of the disruption. Just
Does my
raise
health
your hand.
affect my insurance?
Excuse me, please.
Does my
Please
health
raise your.
affect my insurance?
Who's that? I didn't get you, please.
I am Rosetta.
So at this time, as Mr. Gideon mentioned, if there's any question related to the topic that we've discussed, please go ahead. Let's have a discussion. Okay, no questions on YouTube, maybe? Any questions?
Okay. Uh, I'm trying to see what we have from YouTube. I think I was muted a bit there. I'm trying to see what we have on YouTube. Okay. Uh, okay, I think somebody is typing here. Let's give it a moment. Let's give it a few moments.
No worries, Mr. Gideon, no problem.
I think while we wait for the YouTube questions, sorry, I'm kind of um my video is off. I think I don't want to say thank you so much for the presentation. You know, earlier I said that I might not be a teenager, but I was ready to learn, unlearn, and also relearn, and which I have. So I think for me, I want to just say thank you so much for coming in on such short notice and for delivering amazingly well. I think it's something that, like you said earlier in your speech where you started, when other children come and they see via the YouTube channel, they can actually also learn a thing or two because one thing I've learned so far is that knowledge is not just for the now, it's it's forever, right? So because we just keep on learning, we keep on improving and for I really wish we had longer time, right? But we just have to just call it a day. And I don't want to say thank you very much. I've learned a lot. I think one of the take home I've learned from today is that I have to be conscious of just my self awareness. It's a deliberate and intentional thing I must do. Yeah, because it will help me to know who I am, right? And also help me to actually. Okay, so there's a question. I think I'll just read the question, but then we continue. So from this is from Shegun. Shegun says, how can someone solve a problem of financial challenges? I don't know how that relates to this. I don't know how if you can answer that.
No, thank you so much, Miss Glory. It's my pleasure to be here to share what knowledge I have and my own experience. And just to answer, I hope I'm able to give some light on this question. But Segan, how can someone solve a problem of financial challenges? Now, that is a very big question and a real issue. And so that's where opportunities such as scholarships, looking for those scholarships that you fit the criteria for, ensuring that you meet all those criteria that has been stipulated so that you have a fighting chance of getting that scholarship. So that's one way that you can look at overcoming problems such as financial challenges, asking for support, you know, from family members. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. It's a real thing. And once you want to get something out of life, you have to fight for it. In Jamaica, we have a phrase that says, if you want good, your nose has to run. So, meaning you'll have to fight sweat and tears, blood, sweat, and tears. You'll probably have snot. I know it's a bit graphic, but you fight for what you want. You ask for the help. Don't be ashamed to ask for help. So if it means going to family members and saying, Auntie, can I have so and so? And this is another Jamaican phrase. I'm introducing you to my culture. But we say every mickle makes a muckle. So every small, small thing amount to something great, to something big. So that one auntie that gives you £200, another uncle gives you £30. Small, small, you get to that goal. Start early. If you know that this is a course that you're looking towards, you start to look at the tuition fee, you start to look at what you need to put in place. What companies do I need to write a letter to say, look, I'm a needy student, I'm looking for financial support or help. Can you please come on board to sponsor me? And I can promise you, I can assure you that I'll be giving back to my nation. I'll be giving back to my community. These are the things that these organizations want to hear because they want nation building. They want bright leaders to come and help with the infrastructure because it starts with us. You are the future. You are the future leaders for tomorrow. And so you have to start honing that. My country is on my back. I want to be able to carry with another couple of ambitious persons because you can't do it alone. So you have to collaborate with other persons and those who have gone before. So you listen to the older persons who have walked this pathway already, those who would have had financial constraints. What did they do? Who did they ask for sponsorship? You know? So those are some few ideas. It's not exhausted, but I hope it helps.
Yes, surely I believe it helped. I believe it really helped. Okay. So just to say thank you once again, Ms. Dionne, for taking the time to be with us this evening. I must say, I mean, I am not in any way disappointed. You see, when I was when when I was giving your profile, I was just wowing all the way as I was, going through it, and I knew that those who will attend this particular session, and even those who will pick up the video on YouTube to watch in the future, would be in for a very serious uh, uh, encounter that will change their life for the better. So, but just to add to your answer, as regards Shegun Ashimi's question, okay? Well, with our peculiarities in Nigeria, you mentioned just like Nigeria, Jamaica is what is being referred to as a poor country, a third world country. And so things, might be particularly a bit rough on, countries like that. Uh, I'm sitting here as a testimony himself in such a situation where finances was a major issue, going to school. And there are many things, just like you said, the list is not exhaustive. Okay, in in my own case, I went into tutoring my colleagues, tutoring, even as much as those a year above me, I will get their course materials, I will read it, and I'll go into tutoring them. And in exchange, I got stipends for it, and I was able to gather that and make, pay my fees. So there are many things. I had colleagues who had to pick up some extra job off campus and all of that. No, it is not ideal. In an ideal situation, you know, uh, you should be able to concentrate on your education. But given that this is what you find yourself in as a person, as a student, and you have dreams to meet, you won't let your dreams die because you feel that there are constraints. If you do that, then it is on you. The joke is on you. Okay, so I believe that if the mind really wants it, a way will always you will always find a way. Okay, and you are a strong believer in God, just like myself. And once God knows that you want a thing, and not really deserve, because none of us, I'm a believer that none of us really deserve the things that we have. Understand? Especially the very best things of life. You see, if you really want the thing and God knows that you want it and sees that you are going to use this to impact another life somewhere positively, Okay, he will definitely bring it to you as long as you have your mind in it. So I believe that also adds to the question, to answering that question. Okay, so with that, I would say a very big thank you, very big thank you. And for those of us who, would want to connect with Miss Dion Henry in one form or the other, I understand that sometimes just watching someone who is up there, being in that person's space, I can serve as a motivation for you to want to be better. I would just drop our LinkedIn handle. I have a permission to drop our LinkedIn handle. You can follow her on LinkedIn, while I also take the liberty to also share a bit of a moment with us. I would have done this when I was giving out a profile. Unfortunately, you could see I was trying to fiddle with my computer at that point, but I couldn't. So this is Dion in a graduation during undergraduate studies in nursing from the University of West Indies. I think this is in Jamaica, Dion.
Yes, Mr. Gideon, it is. It is in
Oh,
Jamaica.
okay. So this was in 2020. I understand she had a virtual. I understand she had a virtual ceremony because it was in the heat of the COVID-19 pandemic. So this is her graduating from Faculty of Medical Sciences with a first class honors. Can you beat that? Please, a round of applause once again for this woman of substance. Please, please let me see those virtual hands. Yes, I can see my students raising their hands in respect. Wow. Okay, so this is Miss Dion closing from her day shift where she works at in the UK. So we still have her here volunteering. I believe it is Miss Dion. Okay, volunteering for the diabetes awareness. That's her. I think I highlighted in the next few years. That's her with the arrow pointing towards her. What a remarkable woman. Please give it up for Miss Dionne Henry. She is such a gem. You see, the world needs more. The world needs more of Miss Dionne Henry in professional spaces and, of course, in motivating young minds. Now, this is one part of her that if I fail to mention, she might have me by the throat. She is a woman of faith to the core. And this is her volunteering for the church when they were giving out food to the community. Okay, this is Miss Dion presenting a PhD thesis at the University of West London. I think